And welcome back. We have another fabulous week in store for you. We're going to do some chicken cordon bleu, followed by a side dish of red potatoes with herbs and garlic and some peppers. It's going to be a delectable dish that you will not want to miss. So let's go ahead and get started. So I have some chicken breasts here. I have about 4 chicken breasts, and they're larger, so we're actually going to cut them down the center. So you want to rinse each of them before you use it. That gets off any of this sliminess and this fat along the edges. You can pull off while you're doing it. So then what you're going to do is you're going to take the knife and just put it about halfway on the breast there and just start cutting away. And then you'll kind of just peel away this top layer as you cut down. Make sure you have a sharp knife for this, because a dull knife would be very difficult to do this maneuver. So you just keep cutting down. Sometimes there is a good amount of chunks of fat that can make it a little bit difficult there. There we go, I got right through it. And you just keep cutting down. Just make sure that there's some meat left for the bottom layer. You want to be careful to keep your hands out of the way there. And that buzzer reminds me, you should be having your oven heating to about 350 degrees at this time. That's the temperature you will cook the chicken cordon bleu at. Alright, and once these chicken breasts are cut, then what we're going to do is we're going to put them in a hot skillet pan with about 2 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil. I already have mine heating up. You can see over there. And what we're going to do is we are going to cook them completely. Make sure they're golden brown on each side and cooked completely through. And then we're going to make the sauce, a special chicken cordon bleu sauce. Alright, just one more minute here. I've almost got these ready to cook. Okay, so we're going to take these right over here. I'm going to drop them in. So I'm only going to be able to cook 4 at this time. But that will be fine. You can just cook them in waves. Just put what you cook into the casserole dish, put the next wave into the pot, and then we'll finish off with the sauce and the cheese and the ham and put it in the oven. That will help it cook. So while we're letting these brown, we're going to send it over to Tim. He's going to take you on a fun little segment. Tim, what do you have for us today?
Bonjour, comment ça va? I am here today in France. I'm just on vacationing in Europe today, and France is my stop, and we're in Paris this afternoon, and you caught me just in time. I was ordering a drink, and so waiter, may I get some Merlot, please, waiter? Well, thank you. So here's my Merlot here, and I just hope you all have a great afternoon in Oregon. So today I just ordered the cordon bleu, which Kevin's making in the kitchen for you today. But I'm having it here in France. So I'm gonna go home to Oregon and compare the French to Kevin's original recipe. But anyway, the cordon bleu in French means blue ribbon. And I think Kevin should have, and will, hopefully someday, enter in his fabulous homemade cordon bleu at a state fair or big cooking event, and he might have that blue ribbon after all. So bonjour, and we'll see you next time.
And welcome back. Just washing my hands. You can never be too careful, especially with chicken. You want to make sure you wash your hands after every time you contact chicken. Alright, so this chicken is done. What I've done is I like to just cut right down in the thicker parts, and you'll notice that it's white. See right there? See how it's white inside? Alright, so it is finished. We're going to just take these right over here and fit them into this casserole dish. Alright. And now, what we're going to do is we're just going to take a can of cream of chicken. Any brand will do. Okay? And we're going to put that right into this pan with all that delicious chicken grease. There we go. And we're going to do a half pint of sour cream, which is about about a cup of sour cream. There we go. And we're going to mix it in until it's completely blended. Soak in all those chicken juices. That's key to the sauce here. So unfortunately, I promised at the beginning of the season that with every dish we would have a gluten-free alternative. Unfortunately, this doesn't really have a gluten-free alternative that I've discovered, or at least not one that tastes good. So the only thing that you could do in this case is just forego the sauce and just do the ham and the Swiss on top of the chicken. And get all of those chicken juices in there. Okay, so we're going to let this warm up now until it starts to lightly bubble. So while we're waiting, we're going to get some Swiss cheese and some ham slices. Okay, so we're going to put one ham slice on each chicken breast. If it doesn't completely fit on, you can fold it underneath. I'm just using regular deli ham that's intended for, just normal sandwiches. But you can get thicker sliced ham or even cook your own ham if you would like. Alright. And once you have all this ham on, we're going to put Swiss cheese. I tend to rip it in half. It fits better on the chicken. Otherwise you just have too much cheese and you go through a lot more Swiss. There we go. Perfect. Okay, so this is now lightly bubbling, so I'm going to just spread a little bit on each chicken breast. And once I have it all spread out on each chicken breast, then I'll put the remaining sauce over the top. Kind of spoon it around. This sauce, as it heats up in the oven as well, will spread out. It will kind of liquefy and go down into the crevices next to the chicken breast to keep them moist while they're cooking. Because you will cook this uncovered. You do not need to put foil or anything of that like. So just keep spreading around the rest of the sauce. You can never have too much cordon bleu sauce. Make sure you're not knocking off some of that delicious cheese there. Alright, there we go. So I'm going to put this into the oven now, and we'll cook it for 40 minutes at 350 degrees. It will it will be boiling when you pull it out, and the top will start getting a kind of browner look to it. There it is. Alright, so with that, we'll send it over to Brenna, who has a fun segment planned for you today. Brenna?
Why, hi again. So it's time to go go get those groceries again, right? But here's a couple tips and tricks you can use to make your experience there and at home even easier. When going to the grocery store, try finding produce that has no damage, bruises, or cuts in them because it's going to make them last and stay quality for the longer time. We're going fresh versus canned because you get more nutrients, it's local, and there's just some satisfaction in creating your own food. And so once you get home, the best thing to do is either keep it in its full continence until you're ready to use it, or you can prep some of your food for the next couple days. You don't want to prep too far ahead of time. For instance, when you buy a pre-chopped bag of lettuce versus buying a head of lettuce, the head lasts up to a week and a half, whereas the bags only last about 3 to 5 days. So you're going to get longer quality items if you wait and hold them in their traditional form. Another great option is when you have like zucchinis or yellow neck squash and you haven't quite used them yet and they're just still sitting in your fridge or on the counter. You can actually chop them up, prep them up. They'd be ready to steam, saute, just throw on top of a pizza or stick in any egg dish that you'd like. It's another great option to keep that fresh style produce ready for you to use, and it's prepped and ready in the freezer. It's one of my tricks that I use daily. And now you're ready to use all the fresh fruits and vegetables you have in your kitchen. Remember, try and buy local, make sure there's no bruises, cuts, or abrasions on your fruit, and enjoy them in a quick manner. And enjoy!
And welcome back. Thank you for that wonderful segment, Brenna. So now we're going to do the potatoes, the red potatoes with the peppers and herbs. It's going to be a delicious side dish here, not too difficult either. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off with some heated oil. Again, it'll be about 2 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil. And we're going to put in about a half of a cup of a sweet onion, finely chopped, and 2 cloves of fresh garlic. Just kind of scrape off the innards there. Alright, so we're going to let that now kind of cook in this oil until the onion is translucent, it's clear. That means that it is tender and ready to be added to any kind of meal. So while we're doing that, we'll let this cook and we're going to cut some of the vegetables now. So for this recipe, you'll need about 4 to 7 red potatoes, depending on the size of them. These ones were smaller, so I had about 7 of them. I always like to cut off this end part here and the end part right over here. The skin is edible, so I just rinsed it real well. I used a scouring pad to get any kind of dirt that might have been on it. For this one, what we're going to do is we're going to cut it once down the side here and once down the side here, and then we're going to cube it in a matter of speaking. Just be careful of your fingers. It might even be more safer to do this part down like this. Bless you. Alright, and then finally we're going to have peppers. See how I kind of sliced them here? I'll demonstrate. You cut off the top here, and you take out the center. Okay. Bless you. And what we're going to do is that we're then going to slice it into strips, like that. And then we're going to go 1, 2. See how it makes a perfect kind of just rectangle size. Okay? So, let's check on our onions and garlic here. Looks like they still need a little bit more time. So we'll take a break at this point. And here is how you can let us know if you have any questions or comments. Alright, now see it's starting to get a little bit brown. That's perfect. And it's more of a clear look instead of a deep white as the onion was originally. So now we're going to take about 2 bell peppers worth and all of the potatoes. Then we're going to put 1 teaspoon of a McCormick Tuscan seasoning. It's a sun-dried tomato. Half teaspoon of oregano. Half teaspoon of parsley. And 3/4 of a teaspoon of basil. We're going to mix this around now. And just kind of stir it around, make sure the herbs get over all of the potatoes and the peppers. And then last but not least, we're going to do a salt to pepper to taste. So I'm not going to dictate how salty this is. You'll have to taste it at the end and see how much salt you want. So while we're letting this cook, we'll send it over to Julie, who has a tip to help make this cooking experience be more enjoyable for you. Julie?
Hi, I hope your day's going well. Mine's wonderful, as I'm spending time with my precious grandchildren. So, I'm looking forward to tasting Kevin's potato dish with the savory peppers. And that brings me to the point, how is it best to store your produce? Because how you store it can have a major effect on not only the texture but the taste. So where do you store things like potatoes, onions, turnips? A cool pantry works best, or an unheated room like a garage perhaps. Now, why not in the refrigerator? It's because a refrigerator has too much moisture. Keep vegetables whole when you do put them in the refrigerator. If you cut them up, it's best to use them within a day. For things like beets, carrots, and radishes, be sure you cut the green tops off to prevent moisture loss. Now when it comes to fruit storage, most fruit can be kept in an open air basket unless you need to keep them for more than a few days. If that's the case, you can put them in the refrigerator or also like a cool pantry. If you do store apples in the refrigerator, don't put them with the other produce or veggies. You want to put them on a top shelf in the refrigerator. Why? It's because apples put off ethylene gas and it causes the other veggies to taste bitter. And that's my tips for today. Thanks.
And welcome back. So this is now done. What I ended up having to do is I added a little bit of water to it and put a top on and steamed to kind of help hurry up the potatoes. But what you might consider doing is maybe parboiling the potatoes after you've cut them for about maybe 5 minutes at a medium or high heat, then putting them in. That will quicken it up as well. So this is now done. And then let me bring out the Chicken Cordon Bleu. There it is. See how on the corners here it started browning a little bit? That is perfect. So now we are going to serve up final product here. And I always like to put some extra sauce around it here. And then we'll put some of these potatoes. So there you have it. We have a delicious home-style chicken cordon bleu with a delicious light herb-seasoned red potato stir-fry. So I'm sure that you are going to love this. If you don't, let me know. But as always, keep cooking with Kevin. Take care.